Hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth round of the Ravi Racing League, which will be taking place at the Brazilian Grand Prix. Everyone is still joining the lobby at this point. We'll have a look at the standings. Maranello Baby, who joined from the second round from the league, on top, just above Anirudh, with only 4 points between them. General Pepe, who had an unfortunate finish in the last round, on 44 points. Then Casey, who has not joined the game as far. I'm not sure if he's driving today. Doesn't look like it, which means he will be staying on what is it, 38? I can't properly see it.
Hello.
Hello, 8 cylinders.
Hello, Walter. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
Just having some confusion here with the server and who's racing and all that.
Yes.
I think we should. I think there should be a system in place as to how the reserves race. So we shouldn't have a reserve list at all. We should just have a tier 2, and everyone just races there. And if you do well in tier 2, top 3 drivers get promoted to tier 1, and the bottom 3 drivers in tier 1 get demoted to tier 2.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that would work out the way football does. Promotion, and whatnot.
Yeah, so it seems like a couple of people are not driving today. Freeman is not driving, Mountain is not driving, Scary Pumpkin is not driving, also Vikram is not, and KC66. I think that's about it.
Very unique driver lineup we have here. Real shuffle up from the previous time.
Yes, definitely.
Session will be up in 13 seconds. Let me go ahead and check stream, make sure everything's a-okay on that side.
It looks fine at the moment. Yeah, check if you can hear yourself. It should be fine. Can you say something?
Yep, audio is good.
Yeah. Okay.
Dylan asked me to check his Twitch stream, make sure the audio is cool on that.
Yeah, sure.
Keep checking on that once in a while as well. So,
okay.
Him and Falsari make a good team, considering they're both friends and all that.
Did you have a talk with Chris By since last race to ask him if he's driving on keyboard or mouse?
Oh no, I didn't. But I went up as I scroll through some of the older chats, and I just kind of searched for any mentions of. Well, I remember a conversation with Chris By earlier in the league where we talked about how many hands he had, because he was talking about racing on keyboard and controller and mouse simultaneously. I'm like, how many hands do you have? So it was him. It was Chris By, not Sono Soon races on controller. He races on pad. So, speaking of which, we don't have Not So Soon today. I think he's not there in the league anymore. Never mind.
I think
he
was a stand-in at some point. Because he was driving in Racing Point.
Well, it's good to see that we do have a sort of complete grid here. Welcome everyone to probably a very underrated track on the F1 calendar. It doesn't really get the appreciation it deserves. We are at Interlagos in Brazil, the home of the legend Ayrton Senna. Interlagos is you could say it's a fairly simple circuit in terms of its layout. There's not many difficult corners per se, but the corners are tricky in that they're off cambered, and some of the braking zones are right after a fast turn, so you do have to get your setup, your braking points and turn-in points very, very correct. Otherwise, you do run the risk of running wide, or even worse, getting a penalty for exceeding track limits. So it's one of my favorite circuits because the simplicity is what makes it a fun track. It's kind of like Austria in many ways, where it's just so simple and it's just DRS and flat out. It's easy to follow cars. It's not too, it's not too impactful with dirty air and all that. In real life, drivers complain about certain tracks just not impossible to overtake. I'm thinking Albert Park or Monaco just because it's too small, but um, Singapore, those kind of tracks where it's just difficult to overtake. But instead, Interlagos is as Pulse RU retires from the session very early there, but I think he may have crashed already.
Yes, he crashed into the wall.
Ah, so Pulse RU will qualify last, just by default there, fortunately. But if there's anything that Interlagos has, it's we can see him on the back straight there. Very unlucky for him. The Williams car crashes out into turn 9, just coming out of the pit straight there. But what can I tell you about Interlagos? Again, as I said, all the things before apply, but the most important overtaking point on this circuit is probably the long back straight which leads into the pit straight. Interesting part about that is the straight is not exactly straight per se, it curves, but it's flat out in these modern F1 cars. It's been flat out for 10, 15 years now, so it'll be interesting to see how the drivers will make use of it, because even if you're really far back in the slipstream, if you're in second or third place and you don't have DRS on the car ahead, the slipstream going into that back straight is just absolutely insane. It sucks you close to the car ahead, and then you have DRS going into the back straight, into the pit straight, obviously, and so then you can get your overtake done. But very interesting to see how drivers make use of the long back straight. But that's not the only overtaking point. I believe you can use the complex at turn 1, turn 2 as well. It's difficult to get the overtake done, but it's definitely possible. And of course, you have a little back straight just after you have a little straight after turn 2, which is a DRS straight. So again, good overtaking spot into turn 3. So it'll be interesting to see. There might be more overtakes in this race than we have in previous races, but of course, since the cars are equal in F1 2019 multiplayer, so we could see some interesting overtakes in some interesting places. But
Well,
at the end of the day,
yeah, well, let's
close
hope
to the Red Bull.
it's a less less stuff happens than in China, because at least for your sake, because you had a lot of penalties to, or at least a lot of footage to check after China, right?
Yes, we've had, so it's not been very long since we started RRL, but we had a record 10 incidents to look at, 10 incidents after China. A lot of them were just, some of them were incidents reported from both drivers' points of view, but a lot of the incidents were unique, and we had a pretty tough time looking at all the incidents and drafting up the incident report, because it was just a wide number of factors were involved in each of the incidents. There were all sorts of things to consider. You can't just go, well, he's done something wrong, he's crashed in there. There's a lot of factors in terms of braking points and apexes and the optimal racing line and locking off and all sorts of things to be considered. There were a couple of penalties reported on the safety car, which were rescinded by race control simply because the penalties given by the game were really stupid. They were just, the driver had no choice in some of those scenarios. He had to, I'm thinking of Freeman in the McLaren. He had to go onto the grass heading into the final or the second to last hairpin, and he had to go off the grass because everyone was bunching up on the safety car. If he had gone on the inside, he would have hit another driver or would have overtaken another driver on the safety car and received a penalty for something like that. So he dove around on the outside because he was a little too hot into the hairpin and he got a penalty, and we rescinded that because as a driver, they can't do anything there. And because some of the drivers use ABS, it's one of those assists that we've allowed drivers to have a little bit of free reign over, because it's just one of those assists where a lot of people are still using it, obviously. So
yeah, it's
can't
definitely
really control over it.
yeah. If a lot of people on in this league are using controllers, and some are not comfortable switching off the ABS yet, and just for everyone's sake, and minimizing the amount of incidents that occur because of locking up because you're not comfortable with it. We allowed for everyone to use most of their own assists.
Yeah. Ninja Zero are currently leading the pace on a 1:08.
I don't know if
but
you
I
checked
definitely know.
Did you check the pre-practice yesterday, or because I haven't?
I was not available for free practice yesterday, so I was
Okay.
unable to stream it. I do apologize for everyone watching. If you were expecting footage of free practice, I do apologize. But if I were to go by anything that was reported by the drivers, it was fairly uneventful. There were 45 minutes of rain where nobody really went out, followed by a stint on dry, in a dry, sort of dry weather conditions where drivers tried to put in the laps. And I mean, if you check out classifications based on practice yesterday, again, Vortex and Anirudh were right on the pace, on the soft tires, so definitely keep an eye on them.
So
But
the guy in second place, IRC, the real SD, is someone from the IRC league who also joined now as a reserve driver, and he's taking the spot of Casey today, as Casey is not able to attend.
so Casey and Arilla Steve are fairly close friends in real life, so it makes sense that he's standing in for Casey there. But
Yeah.
we do have to sort out the whole tier one and reserves thing soon, because what started off as having 2 or 3 reserve drivers has now grown to 10, 12 reserve drivers, and they're joining, well, 2 or 3 every day. So ideally speaking, we can have a full 15 to 16 person grid apart from tier 1. We could actually have a tier 2, and that could be something interesting to check out as well. So definitely exciting developments going forward for RRL.
Vortex putting in a nice lap, 9.4, placing him third on the standings at the moment.
Yep. That is true. Is. And there's a yellow flag in sector 2. There's a Force India that's run wide going into sector 3. Now there's a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. Alright, so there's a Force India that's gone wide and he's rejoined the track. Should be scary pumpkin. It is scary pumpkin. Who generally has incredible one lap quali pace, but then when it comes to race pace, he suddenly starts to drop off a bit and he seems to struggle. So hopefully he's put in the practice for this race. Hopefully he's able to keep up with the front runners. If he does get himself further up the grid to the point where he is one of the contenders for the race winner. Obviously, in recent races, we've had out-and-out domination from Maranello Baby, who's currently sitting in 17th place, having not put in a lap yet on the soft tires. But it'll be interesting to see, because he's been all-conquering, Maranello Baby. He's been right up there in terms of the pace, in terms of consistency, in terms of managing his tires, in terms of maximizing strategy. It seems like he's got it all. Almost seems like he's a cheat code in this league, because he just seems to not be able to stop winning. He just can't stop winning at this point. Truly, truly incredible performances we've seen from him in the 2 races that he has participated in so far. He's taken 25 points in both of them. Not sure if he got fastest lap, but
Yes,
he has
both.
taken the race win convincingly.
He got fastest lap in both races.
Well, there you go. Testament to his ability. It'll be interesting to see if he chooses to qualify at all, because based on the fact that we have so much first lap chaos, he could easily find himself in the points, just after lap 1, turn 1, turn 2. Ooh, very, very dangerous exit there from the Red Bull. In real life, that would be a penalty for unsafe release, but obviously this is a video game. We're not taking everything seriously here. But Maranello Baby is still not within a lap. No one who had a fairly, I'd say, silent race last time around. He didn't particularly put in a great performance at China. He finished in, let me check it out here. He finished in 17th place, a lap behind everyone else. So an unimpressive race from IRC. Jungle Pepe / no one is currently sitting in 18th place. He's on his out lap now.
Yeah, he also
with 6
already
minutes.
set He already had 2 invalidated laps on the mediums, So he came in because he needed more fuel. So let's hope he can put in a lap this time. Also, I don't know
We're
if you.
talking about in. Yep.
Yeah. I also don't know if you noticed. We have Sebastian Vettel in the server.
Oh yeah, we're being #blessed. Oh wait, no, that's Hamilton's reference, isn't it? We're being treated with Spinalla with Sebastian Vettel. If you are slightly confused as to who Sebastian Vettel is, it's not the actual Sebastian Vettel, obviously. This is the Iyad Ahmed, who's part of he races for Ferrari. But considering the recent events, considering that he is a Tifosi, he's a Ferrari fan, and he likes Vettel, so he's named himself in honor of the Ferrari driver who left, not F1, but he left Ferrari. But he also might be on the fringes of leaving F1 entirely going into the next season. He's not had a seat confirmed, and the way he made his farewell message seem, it seems like he's not too interested in staying in F1 for many more years. I think not that he's lost interest in the sport, but I think he's got other priorities. He's got a very young family, so definitely something to discuss if you're not into the esports scene right now. Definitely a lot of things going on in the real F1 scene as well. So let us know in the chat below what you think of all the driver changes that has happened over this past week. There have been a number of them. Ricciardo to McLaren, Carlos Sainz to Ferrari being another one, as Sebastian Vettel here, I should say. Iyad Ahmed gets and Scary Pumpkin picks up a 5-place grid penalty. Oh wow, it just doesn't seem to have luck at all. He just doesn't seem to have it his way in any session. He always has something that hinders his progress as he makes contact with Dylan and picks up a 5-place grid penalty. Not sure what happened there. Wasn't paying attention to that incident, but Dylan's gone off the track and giving space to the faster drivers, obviously.
Well, there's one more thing that happened in real life F1. Don't know if you heard it, but Charles Leclerc didn't open the front door for his girlfriend.
Oh yeah,
she had to stand
I
outside
did see
for
that
25 minutes. Yeah.
That's one way to get more people to subscribe to your Twitch channel. Just make them wait outside your apartment for 25 minutes, and then she messaged very angrily on the chat, and he saw it. He's like, "Oh no, my girlfriend is standing outside," and then he struggled to get out of his sim rig because he was so securely strapped in, ready for another session of Dirt Rally 4, or Dirt 4, I should say.
And no one is out of the race. He just crashed into the back of a Ferrari and lost his tire. Which means he's starting in 18th place.
Oh, wow.
That's unfortunate.
Wow.
Also, Maranello Baby not having set a lap yet. But to come back to the Charles Leclerc with his girlfriend situation, his chat was on sub-only mode, so she couldn't even message him normally in the stream chat. So she had to buy a subscription.
To him for a month. Shall never change. But I was watching, regarding the esports scene, I was watching a video the other day regarding, it was just some of the other drivers. It was Alex Albon, George Russell, and Lando Norris. They were discussing the race, the virtual GP held in China. It was a couple of weeks ago now that the virtual GP in China happened, or the Chinese Grand Prix, or whatever it's called. They were discussing how Charles Leclerc has very quickly adapted to F1 2019's weird penalty systems, its weird handling, because it's not exactly reminiscent of real life. There are differences. The F1 drivers do struggle against the esports drivers when it comes to the not GPs and the virtual GPs that are being conducted. But they've been talking about how Charles has very quickly adjusted, and how he's just incredibly good on the game, and he's incredibly fast. And if that is a testament to how much of a prospect he is going forward in the future, I don't know what is. He is genuinely a very exciting driver. And I'm not much of a Ferrari fan. I'm personally a Mercedes fan, of course, and that will obviously cause some strong comments from the Ferrari fans, obviously. But I'm not really that big a fan of Ferrari. But I am genuinely excited to see what Charles Leclerc has to offer. I'm genuinely excited to see what Carlos Sainz has to offer. He seems like a really prospective driver as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think he's going to be more of a second driver. I don't really feel. Oh, as Maranello Baby, another invalidated lap for him. It's just turn one, turn two. It's catching out absolutely everyone.
I
It's
think
catching
we're
out
gonna
everyone
see.
because
Yeah, I think we're gonna see some big penalties today. Looking at how even the more faster guys like
yes, very
Maranello
true.
Baby and no one are just cutting the track like crazy.
Oh, and Dylan retires from the session. I think he's just decided to retire on the basis that oh, and both the Williams have retired now. Yeah, but Dylan's just retired because he's just decided that he can't put in a much better lap than what he's doing right now. His AI is
Yeah.
just pulled off the track, and any minute now or any second now, it will. Vortex retires from the session as well. What is going on? I
Yeah,
think it's
it's
just
just the
that the
end of the
drivers
session.
can't put in many faster laps.
It's the end of the session and people just retire. Um, I think it's better to just drive into the pits and wait instead. Maranello Baby
Well,
again, just driving off the track. I don't know what he did. Don't know why he just drove off. But it doesn't look
I
like he's
feel
putting in
like
the time.
Brazil is one of those races like Monaco, where because the track is so short, there are simultaneously many drivers on the track, and there's not really enough space for drivers to move out the way if there is a faster car coming up behind them. So drivers just have to bin it in the grass and just hope for the best. I believe Dylan did that when one of the Haas drivers were coming up behind him going into the final turn, or should I say the penultimate turn before the long curvy straights.
We might see a
Uh,
faster lap from Ninja Zero though. Oh, he was on a purple lap, but he pulls into the pits.
But if there's anything to go off right now, Ninja Zero in the Renault is on provisional pole position. A very good lap from him. A 1 minute 8.115. SLR Ocean Chief also retires. If there's anyone who really can take, nope. IRC Real SD also dives into the pits. He's on a 1 minute 8 seconds and 6 tenths.
Yeah, I
So
also think that time was set with a medium tire. So he just pulled into the pits because he didn't want to set a faster lap. So he can start on the mediums. Also, I think Anirudh also was on the mediums. Might not be
well,
true
let's go
anymore.
ahead and check our telemetry here. We'll change the detail to fitted tire or best
Yeah,
tire.
the fitted says is soft, also for the real ST, but he definitely set his
No,
lap on the
for the
mediums.
best tire, it still says that. But all front runners have gone on the soft tires for their
Okay.
fastest lap. So only Melting Ace and G Chroma set their laps on medium tires, and Melting Ace didn't go on the soft tires at all for qualifying. Very interesting choice from him. He might start on the medium tires, be able to make up a lot of positions going into the first pit window. But that ends their qualifying, and we have a new pole sitter from the previous two races. We have Ninja Zero, the Renault team, really turning up the heat in RRL. The other driver, Maranello Baby, also putting in fantastic performances. And now his teammate comes out, elbows out, showing everyone that, he's come out to play as well. Ninja Zero picks up pole position here. Scary Pumpkin, the only driver who really picked up a 5-place grid penalty, and he finishes the session in.
Yeah, it will be
Yeah.
interesting to see this race again. Just like at China, both Maranello Baby and General Pepe starting from the back of the grid. Also, Chris Bai is doing pretty well in the standings. Didn't have the best race in China, but hopefully he'll be looking to get some more points today.
So we will have a formation lap once everybody loads in here. It will take a little bit of time because we have drivers from various parts of the world driving here. Most of them are from the Indian subcontinent, but obviously you are from Belgium yourself, and there are other drivers here who are from various parts of the world. I believe Freeman is not from, or I believe Freeman is from India. I believe someone else is not. I believe both the Williams drivers are not from India. They're from Malaysia or Singapore. I'm not
I think
entirely
we
sure.
also have
Might
some
be
people from Singapore, for instance.
Yeah, but most of these guys have good internet, and the fact that we're all in the Asia Pacific region means that, or rather, should I say, Middle Eastern, Asian um, region, that we should all be fairly good on the server side. But we have our formation lap underway here. Let us go through a brief grid order here as Ninja Zero starts from pole position. He'll have the best view into turn one. The real SD, our stand-in for KC66, is also in a good position going into turn one. He'll look to avoid all the carnage from the drivers behind him and keep an eye on Anirudh in the Toro Rosso starting in P3. He has had some absolutely lightning starts, a rapid driver when he gets into the groove, and I think Brazil might be one of his stronger tracks, but he has had some interesting races at Brazil in the past based on the footage on his YouTube channel. He has had some very, very dodgy races online. So he's had some experience with this track and obviously will be one of the stronger tracks. Vortex, another championship contender, lines up in P4. Streeter in P5 in the first Force India. But there seems to be another Force India right next to him going here in the formation lap, even though Sebastian Vettel is in P6. A brilliant qualifying session there from the German master. Prix in P7 put in a good qualifying session as well, but he looked to keep a clean race this time around. He picked up a number of penalties in the last race, so he will try to keep a cleaner race this time. Hopefully try to stay out of trouble for the most part. SLO Ocean Chief in the Alfa Romeo in the 8th position, G Chroma in the other Alfa Romeo in the 9th. Good consistent qualifying and race pace from both the Alfa Romeos. I've seen that they stay out of trouble and they get good qualifying, pick up good points. They only need to try and move further up in the grid, which I think is possible if they just turn up the heat a little bit and really get on the pace. But obviously, we'll see a little bit more from them. Melting Ace rounds up the top 10 so far going into the race start. He will look to pick up points as well because right now, Anirudh is the only one really doing much for the Toro Rosso team. Scary Pumpkin, another unfortunate qualifier. Usually, I shouldn't say unfortunate qualifying, but usually his qualifying pace is good, but this time he picks up a 5-place grid penalty for contact with Dylan. He starts in 11th place. Our stand-in driver for Vikram, Electric, I believe is how you say his name.
Yes.
He starts in 12th place in the Ferrari. Prophet 133 in the McLaren. He is standing in for Freeman. Faizan, another, I shouldn't say notorious driver. I think that's a little harsh, but another driver who found himself in a lot of trouble with the stewards last time around. Dylan starts with a D in the Williams. He will look to pick up some points in this race after getting very unfortunate with the other drivers. Cooldock in 16th place. The grid is reforming up here. Maranello Baby and No One are the two drivers to look out for from the back of the grid. False Sayu rounds off the grid as our 5 lights are underway here. A little bit of lag on the lights here. And we have lights out and away we go. Ninja Zero heading us into turn one. Very, very good start there from Ninja Zero. He will look to build up a lead immediately as Anirudh runs wide on the into turn one. He does make up. There's a spinning Ferrari in there. A pirouette. Sebastian Vettel has done a spinola. It was inevitable. Sebastian Vettel has spun off at turn one, dropped back in the grid massively. He's in 17th place. But I think apart from him, many other drivers, well, pretty much all of them got a fairly clean start. I think there's a Alfa Romeo, there's a Cooldock in the Haas, and
the safety car is out, so people slowed down.
Safety car is out, but I do believe that's because there was a lot of contact between the Ferrari of Sebastian Vettel, who did a spinola, and he has now ended up in 17th position. Grazie ragazzi to Ferrari there. Really, wow, he's having a hard time controlling that car. But Profit starts, I don't know where he started. I think he started in 12th or 13th position, but he's now in 18th, and Cooldock is in 19th. Both the Williams got off to an absolute blinder of a start. 14th and 15th place. False RU making good advantage of the chaos going into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the same for No One and Maranello Baby, both starting I think 18th and 17th. Ending up now, No One in 10th place and Maranello Baby in 12th.
Very interesting there. Interesting race down. The safety car is out here, and I think that will be a constant theme throughout Brazil, unfortunately, because it is a complex track, even though it seems fairly simple on paper. Drivers diving into the pits. Faizan recedes to the back of the grid here as he comes out of the pit stop, but I think he will be coming out ahead of Profit, who also dived into the pits due to some damage. Sebastian Vettel now finding himself in 15th place after qualifying 6th on the grid. I think the biggest winners from this, though, has to be False RU, Maranello Baby, and No One. They've managed to make up huge gains, and I think they're in a good position to get a points finish for the two Williams drivers as there's contact between Maranello Baby and Dylan. Dylan might have lost his front wing there. Oh, safety car truly being a big, big hindrance for these drivers here as Manolo Baby spins off the track. Luckily, all the drivers behind him knew exactly what was happening, slowed down, allowed him to rejoin back into 11th place. But I do think Chris Pye has overtaken him on the safety car when he spun off, obviously. But that was entirely on Dylan, entirely his fault.
Chris Pye was already in. It looks like someone else from the top 10 spun as well, because no one was in 10th place and now is in 9th. Chris Pye was already in between no one and Maranello Baby. Also, it looks like Dylan does not have any damage, but false RU might. Doesn't look like it. Scary Pumpkin diving into the pits.
Just looking at our telemetry data here, no one has made up 9 places. SLR Ocean Chief, the biggest loser during the safety car period. A lot of drivers locking up, bunching up as Faizan gets a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits there. If we're going to base it off what we've seen in the last round at China, there were a lot of penalties which were revoked due to the just general Codemaster stupidity of them. So hopefully he appeals that.
I don't think
if it was a stupid penalty.
I don't think he's getting rid of that penalty. It was in turn 2 that he got another warning. So it just seems like he just cut the track.
That is a notorious corner. It's very hard to get the right line through turns 1 and 2. It's interesting because you have to ride the curbs pretty hard. It's just a decision of how much you ride the curbs into turn 2. Which curbs you hit and how much you hit them dictates whether or not you are exceeding track limits or not. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the better drivers, but when I say better drivers, the senior drivers in Anirudh and Vortex and Maranello Baby, those guys will pretty much have a clean race in terms of penalties and crashes, but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the grid do. As safety car is in this lap, let's jump back on board here with our race leader Ninja Zero, who's had a fairly uneventful race so far. He's kept it nice and clean in P1, just had a fairly easy time here. Walter, by the way, some feedback from last time regarding the telemetry data that we're seeing as we get our race start underway here. I'll resume that later as our race leader leads us away here. Let's see if there's any more carnage going into turn 1. This time the drivers are keeping it fairly clean, I would say, as Ninja Zero is on the attack here from the Red Bull of the real SD. Could he get it done here? No, he's too far back, and obviously DRS has not been enabled yet, as there's a yellow flag in Sector 2 as the Mercedes is going very slow. Is Faizan involved in another incident? Oh, that would be terribly unlucky for him. No, I don't think he's picked up any damage there. I think he's just got a very slow start from the safety car as Ninja Zero leads our pack here, now starting to build a little bit of a gap. He's now 7/10 clear of the real SD. If he can build up a large enough gap, well, if he does manage to build up a large enough gap, it's good for him. But, you know, Brazil is one of these races where even though you may seem like you're well clear of the slipstream, you are actually constantly being closed in by the car behind because the slipstream is just that powerful. You can't break the toe. You do have to be sufficiently faster on faster tires and using up all that ERS, etc., to really maximize everything. Let's get our telemetry on board here. Some of our drivers do use automatic ERS, so the ERS just automatically decides and detects when you need maximum deployment. But I think most of the guys who do race seriously in F1 2019 do run ERS in manual. I think it just allows a bit of fine control, really. As someone picks up a 3-second penalty, let me just check on Race Director here because I did miss that penalty. We've already had loads of warnings. Faizan gets a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Fulsaru picks up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits. Dylan gets a 5-second penalty. This was all in qualifying. No, this was during safety car, or during the it was during the safety car. And Faizan picked up another 5-second for exceeding track limits. And the most recent one was Electric, who picked up a 3 seconds for multiple warnings. I'm not sure exactly what he got multiple warnings for. Probably corner cutting and extending track limits, because Brazil is notorious for that. But Ninja Zero really on the pace here, 2 seconds clear of the real SD and going even faster, setting the fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 10.927. I think that will be one of the fastest laps this race, if anybody can beat him, because going into the second stint, the medium tires will come into their own, and obviously those tires are better for longevity as opposed to straight outright raw pace. So we will see something from that. But I think the biggest losers from that safety car period was Scary Pumpkin and SLR Ocean Chief, who find himself right at the back of the grid. As there's a red, yellow flag in sector 1. What happened there, I wonder. Let's check it out. I think it's SLR Ocean Chief and Faizan tussling with each other going into turn 4. Yes, going into turn 4, heading into sector 2 now. And SLR Ocean Chief keeps his position. Faizan was on the attack, but I think he does make up a position. Cool Doc once again finds himself in 17th place. I believe he's on the keyboard, I'm not entirely sure, but it's just an educated guess.
Melting Ace also lost out on a couple of positions, as he was in 9th place, got overtaken by Maranello Baby, then
riding on board with Melting Ace here. He might have a good run up into turn 1, but I do think he's too far back. He will choose to wait for the second DRS straight, which is in close proximity to the first DRS straight. So he will have a good run into there if he can get a good penalty. Oh, Electric picks up another 3-second time penalty for cutting the first and second corner as Melting Ace gets DRS here, but once again too far back. Electric using the extended track limits to get a little advantage over the Toro Rosso driver. And Melting Ace still 5/10 behind as Cool Dot picks up a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I believe pit lane assist has been turned off for this race. That must be the only explanation for why all these drivers are picking up 5-second penalties in the pit lane for speeding, because you cross the pit lane speed limit line and then you engage your pit limiter and drivers don't get it right, then obviously you pick up a penalty. The Cool Dot suffering from some sort of wing damage, ends up in 19th place. Profit is in 18th place in the McLaren. He started fairly well. I think he started 13th, and he's now in 18th. Scary Pumpkin started in 11th, now in 17th. But obviously the biggest loser from all of this is SLR Ocean Chief, who started in 8th, but is now in 15th. Hopefully he can pick up. Oh wow, there's a DRS train going into the first sector here. Sebastian Vettel, false RU, and the other Williams. Dylan starts with a V, all tussling for position. Brilliant dive bomb there from Sebastian Vettel. Somehow manages to keep it clean, not making any contact. Gets a brilliant exit out of turns 1 and 2, and is pulling away from the Williams as SLR Ocean Chief gets DRS on the Williams, but obviously they have DRS because of Sebastian Vettel, and they keep their position for a very, very audacious overtake there from Sebastian Vettel, who is Iyad Ahmed, but he manages to make it stick, and what an overtake that was. What a silent killer that was. Nobody saw it coming. The two Williams were sleeping, not on the apex. They were well off the racing line, and Sebastian Vettel just slips up the inside, as Vettel does when he's not spinning, I should say.
Also, Maranello Baby has overtaken no one at this point. He's in 6th position now, marching through the field. Was able to get past G Chroma. Also, no one was able to get past G Chroma as well. He is now in 7th place, and G Chroma in 8th.
The best drivers are starting to exude as Vortex suffers a big slap of oversteer coming out of turns 1 and 2 there. He will be vulnerable here to Maranello Baby, and Maranello Baby gets the overtake done very, very easily. Very unlucky there for Vortex. He got a big slap of oversteer coming off the curb, and obviously that compromised his exit from turn 2 and turn 3. And Maranello Baby just went up the inside of him going into turn 4 with DRS as well. So very, very unlucky there for Vortex. He'll try to keep on the back of Maranello Baby. Keep in mind that Vortex, we are on lap 9 here, and he's on old, soft tires. He has got 9 laps on these set of softs, so he's got a maximum another 2 or 3 laps in this, on these tires before he does have to pit. Obviously, Brazil is a fairly short track, fairly short laps. The tire wear isn't too high, but ideally he should have until maybe lap 13 or 14 before the pit window opens and he does have to come in. But Maranello Baby easily has another 10 laps on the set of mediums. I mean, I don't think anybody's going on the hard tires. You don't really need to with a fairly short track like Interlagos, but It's just something to keep in mind. The Real SD picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Everyone suffering with turn 1 and 2 here with the extremely strict track limits. But we must say a massive well done to Nidazira. He's pulling ahead at a rate of, well, almost 4/10 a lap here, pulling out a 5-second lead after 10 laps. He was only about half a tenth clear after the safety car period, but obviously he's done a very, very good job of maximizing his pace on the soft tires. I think he will be the main threat
Vortex is
for
out.
the other front runners, as Vortex is out of the race. Vortex is out of the race. What happened there? How did that happen?
I don't know, I just
of
saw
our
him dropping down the field.
One of our championship front runners, a contender for the championship, and one of the stronger drivers so far in RRL, has retired from this race after just 10 laps. Interesting, very interesting. I'm trying to see what happened there. It happened into turn 4 because obviously the cars are going past turn 4 and gaining a position. Scary Pumpkin there. Prophet now also going past turn 4, and obviously that's where Vortex crashed out, I guess. Maybe spun on the curbs heading out of turn 4, but obviously a big slap of oversteer again for him. And we saw that before as well when he was tussling with Manuel Baby. He had a big slap of oversteer coming out of turns 1 and 2. But very, very interesting there. Big mix-up to the top 5 there. Streeter in with good chance of getting on the podium, but Manuel Baby again putting in some, really MLG Major League Gamer style performances here. Up 13 places on the medium tires, showing excellent pace and rapidly catching or reeling in Anirudh, I should say, in the Toro Rosso. But Anirudh is still on the soft tires. I believe that's still got a pace advantage, even this late in the stint. It's still got maybe a 2 or 3/10 advantage over the medium tires in terms of pace, but definitely keep an eye on Manuel Baby. He might inherit the race lead or at least get on the podium or in the podium positions pretty soon. Also keep an eye on IRC General Pepe in 6th place, reeling in Streeter. Only
Also,
7 and 10 separate two of them now.
G Chroma is also in a very good position in the slipstream and DRS of no one, just cruising along.
I'll give IRC General Pepe / no one something to think about going into Sector 1 here on lap 12. DRS open for G Chroma, but he is too far back to get the move done, and I think no one is just better through the 2nd and 3rd sector in terms of pace. Obviously, do keep an eye on it. As there's a crash in Sector 1, it's one of the Williams. It is one of the Williams. It's the Williams of False RU. He tussles with his own teammate. Oh, the Williams is bumping wheels with each other, taking this race very, very casually. But interesting, both the Williams coming together there, and I don't think there's any damage per se, but False RU coming off the worst of the two drivers there. Dylan up into P13, making up
False
2 positions. False RU making up 5 positions.
Yeah, False RU lost his right end plate.
Oh, False RU, he has lost his right end plate. That represents very little impact on downforce. Of course, there will be an impact, but it's a very small impact as opposed to losing a major front wing element. So he will maybe come in now, or maybe he'll choose to leave it until his pit window opens to choose to repair the front wing. Obviously, an end plate isn't as major a downforce element as the other front wing elements, but we will see. Let's look at our rookie drivers, we should say, Electric and Real SD. Well, Real SD isn't a rookie. Obviously, as Walter mentioned earlier, he is a regular member on IRC, which is the Indian Racing Community. Check them out on YouTube. They are a very prominent league as well, with a lot of members, a lot of high-profile members, a lot of fast drivers. So he's not a rookie to the game, per se. He's not a rookie to F1, but he's definitely a rookie to our league. He's doing very well, making his teammate or the driver that he's placing for today's race, KC66, very, very proud, looking to put more points up in the Constructors' Championship for Red Bull, who I think are leading, but I'm not entirely sure. I think Renault should be doing a pretty good job with Maranello Baby picking up victories left, right, and centre, but I think Red Bull are definitely up there in the Constructors. As there's a yellow flag in Sector Prix, as a Haas drives straight off the track, it's pulled up. Pulled up, who's just, not having a very comfortable race as he smashes into the wall. Big oversteer. I saw that live. I saw that rider riding on board here. His car is now in the middle of the track, as all the other drivers do have to steer clear of the Haas driver. His car is parked right in the middle of the track, coming out of the last sector.
And that's another
Very,
safety
very
car. That is
Yep.
another safety car right there.
Another safety car. Sebastian Vettel picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding on the safety car. Why is Iyad Ahmed driving like the real Sebastian Vettel? Just picking up a lot of penalties for really silly things here.
Also, the real
Sebastian
SD.
Vettel.
The real SD also a drive-through penalty.
I think a lot of drivers being caught out by the safety car period here. Not a lot of drivers really realized that there was a safety car period, but Ninja Zero dives into the pits, and hopefully he'll dive into the pits with the intention of retaining the race lead. Real SD also dives into the pits. Now it will be a pit stop battle between these two drivers. Obviously there is a 7/10 of a gap between them, but everything can be done, or the race can be ended. Your race can be decided in the pit window. But obviously Ninja Zero comes out ahead on the medium tires. Very good pit stop, fast pit stop there from the Renault team. No one now makes it into second place after choosing not to pit. Obviously he is on the medium tires. He's still got another 5 or so laps before his pit window opens, but he will look to try and maximize his pace on his already worn tires, as opposed to all the drivers currently out on new cold tires. But the safety car period will help them, because they will have a chance to warm up their tires before we get going again.
No one has to stay behind the safety car, but Ninja Zero doesn't.
I believe.
And Ninja Zero is disqualified for ignoring yellow flags.
Ninja Zero disqualified from the lead of the race. Oh wow!
Also, the
That is
safety car is
massive.
lagging. The safety car is lagging. He lagged behind no one as well.
Oh,
The safety car is
very
lagging.
interesting turn of
No
events
one
here.
is again
The
in
safety
front of
car's
the
now
safety
in
car.
third. We might have more disqualifications here, guys. Do keep an eye on the safety car. All the drivers
Safety car is
coming
braking.
to a dead stop here. All the drivers just parking it on the apex, waiting for the safety car to overtake. Scary Pumpkin has left the session. He's having network issues, as a bot will take over for Scary Pumpkin, who comes out of the pit lane on a set of, is that red wall tires? Oh, my
No one and
controller
Chroma.
is glitching out.
No one and
Yep,
G-Chroma are
that
gonna
is
be
red wall
disqualified
tires.
as well. No one and G-Chroma are gonna be disqualified. I
They
think
just chosen not.
the race is gonna
The
be...
Toro Rosso of Anirudh has just come to a stop behind the safety car.
Yes.
Has come to a stop. It's come to a dead stop. What is going on here? Look at that. I have to take a screenshot of this. What is going on? It's just a car park going into sector 3. The safety car has come. A lot of drivers getting disqualified here.
Yeah,
What
I
is
think
going on?
it's,
Real SD disqualified for the session. A lot of drivers getting disqualified here. There must be a safety car glitch. Manalo Baby disqualified. Anirudh disqualified for ignoring safety flags. Streeter disqualified for ignoring safety flags. There must be a session restart here. Prophet 133 also disqualified from the session. Electric disqualified. Dylan disqualified. G Chroma, however, has managed to stay clear of all this. He's in first place. Melting Ace disqualified. Ocean Chief disqualified. This is silly season session going on here. Prophet disqualified. We have nearly 12 of the drivers out of the 19 drivers disqualified. Sebastian Vettel disqualified. Not very much of a surprise there. Electric disqualified from the section. Wow. Dylan was disqualified from the session. Everyone is getting disqualified. We have 5 drivers on the grid now. Surely they can't decide to continue the race. Surely the race will be restarted here. Maybe a 25% race session will again be started for the latter half of this race. We have only 5 cars running right now who weren't disqualified, who weren't caught up in this safety car BS. Oh wow, that is very unlucky. But the two strongest drivers have somehow managed to stay clear of all this. Manalo Baby and No One have managed to somehow, by some freak coincidence, have managed to evade all of this nonsense. I believe there will be a decision to restart right now. There's absolute carnage on the Discord server right now. Everyone messaging stupid game. Everyone messaging glitching safety car. First illegal overtake, then disqualify. I got black flag for nothing. A lot of rage going on here. But I believe there is a referendum going on right now as the remaining drivers currently in the session are quitting. There will be a 25% race. We do request our viewers to obviously stay patient and await further instructions from the mods on the Discord server. Obviously, there will be a 25% race. Obviously, there has to be a 25% race. What an absolute shit show.
Yeah. I mean, the only time this happens is during races, of course. It doesn't even happen during exhibition races. The exhibition races always go smoothly. This is already the second time there are problems on Sunday when the league race is taking place. The first time was in Bahrain.
Yeah, in Bahrain was when we first encountered network issues. But we've had network issues in pretty much every race. We had it at Canada. My friend forgot about the stream. He says missed an absolute shit show. Oh, Walter, you left the session as well. Do I have to quit as well? I think
yes,
I do.
There is a new lobby up.
Okay. All right. Well, we do recommend that all our viewers do stay active. There will be another 25% race of maybe 20 laps that will again decide the standings here. There is a new lobby. Let me go ahead and join up here.
Anyway,
let me join up on.
You were talking before all this craziness happened. You were talking about the constructors. I've pulled up the standings. It seems like Red Bull is at the moment first, with some very nice finishes from General. Oh, I still have to mute people. That was very loud. Okay. So I was saying General Pepe with 44 points and Casey with 30, which means Red Bull is at 74 points and Renault is trailing by only 6 points with 68 points in second place. Then the Toro Rosso team is in third, McLaren is in fourth, Mercedes in fifth.
Can I just say, the Toro Rosso team is in third purely because of the heroic performances from Anirudh in the Toro Rosso. No offense there to Melting Ace, obviously. We do not discriminate any of our drivers, but Melting Ace not really been helping out his teammate too much in terms of raking in the points in the constructors. But even if Melting Ace manages to get himself into the 5th or 6th position in races, I can easily see Toro Rosso being contenders for the Constructors' Championship, even though Maranello Baby is currently dominating the Drivers' Championship. We're just going to go ahead and set myself to spectate here. I don't want to be a bot in the race.
Well, let's say they're at least contending for top 3. If Melting Ace is putting in the performances, I definitely see Anirudh getting a lot more points in this season.
Yep.
But it's gonna be hard to beat a Maranello Baby with a Ninja Zero we've seen so far today already.
Yeah, indeed. So I should clarify for those of you on stream who are probably a little bit confused by the fact that it just went from lap 18 all the way down to 5 drivers behind safety car and why we've restarted the session. I should bring some clarity to the situation. We were racing very, very in the usual manner, and we had a crash. I believe there was an incident involving War Vortex, who will be thanking his lucky stars after he's gotten a magical second chance here to rake in some points. Oh, I believe it was an incident involving Cool Dog. I'm very sorry. And there was a safety car, and the safety car came out, obviously, in the usual manner. Cars which were ahead of the safety car obviously have to lap around and then come up behind the safety car as normal rules dictate. But obviously, the safety car decided it was going to act like a retard, and it decided to slow down and lag and glitch and then come to a dead stop and then go. And obviously, the drivers got a little bit annoyed with everything that was going on. We have only 11. Oh, we have all 19 drivers in the session. Beautiful.
And then Ninja Zero got disqualified.
And then Ninja Zero, the first one to get disqualified from the lead for ignoring yellow flags. And obviously from there, it was an absolute shit show as progressively all the drivers got disqualified one by one for some sort of weird safety car yellow flag issue, which disqualified literally everyone. And then it sorted itself out, and it very, very conveniently put Marinello Baby, G Chroma, I believe, and some of the other drivers into an optimum position. So we had like 17 retirements out of the 20 drivers. So the drivers have decided to restart the race with a 25% race. And I believe there will be one-shot qualifying. So I don't know how that works with spectator mode. I don't know if we'll be able to see all the laps simultaneously. But we will let you know about the final qualifying order, obviously. But one-shot qualifying means that there is no traffic. There is no slow cars on the racing line, nothing like that. But the problem is, if you mess up your lap, that's it. You qualify last, or you qualify wherever it is you qualify. You get only one chance to do so.
Also, you were saying something about the in-game telemetry for the stream?
Yeah. So the basically for ease of analysis of the incidents for the stewards and how we're awarding penalties. It will at the end of the race, instead of setting gap to leader in the telemetry, set it to interval between cars.
Normally it's
so
always
we have an
some
idea.
interval.
All right.
Oh, well, at least during the race. So you mean after the race finishes?
So as we have like all the drivers coming across the line, and we have the race leader coming, I just want you to change it to interval so that we kind of have a good idea of how far away everyone is from each other, as opposed to how far everyone away is from the race leader. Because for some of the drivers at the back, it just shows +1 lap and doesn't really give a lot more information.
Yeah.
So just have it on interval so that it sets the gap to the next car instead of gap to the leader. So that's it.
Okay.
That way, it's easier for the stewards to see how their positions change after awarding penalties. Because right now, we're just going off the fact that drivers finish somewhat relatively close to each other. So if they got penalties, then they would obviously fall back in the grid order. But if a driver finished 15 seconds away, but was, nearly a lap and a half behind the race leader, we wouldn't know, simply because it just shows +1 lap. But we are on one-shot qualifying here. I am not going to ride on board with Dylan, as fun as that would be. We're having active, the grid order changes and actively or dynamically changes as we have the drivers going around here. Ninja Zero leading the way in qualifying. The real SD and no one, obviously, in second and third place. Both Red Bulls putting in a good lap here. Coming through Sector 2, we're going to ride on board with Ninja Zero. Very, very difficult section here because the turns are all very off-camber and very difficult to get on the power early because your car, it just spins you around. And this is a slower right-hander as opposed to the previous one. And Marinello Baby this time will have a much better qualifying as compared to last time. A lot of the drivers who qualified badly or had incidents during the race will be thanking their lucky stars in this one, because they're basically having a second chance. This does not happen that often in league racing, where we have safety car glitches and whatnot. And also you guys on stream obviously are getting a better experience. Ninja Zero takes pole position again, much faster lap from him. He's gone nearly a whole 10th faster than his pole position lap last time around, as Anirudh once again finished in 3rd position. Cooldot was disqualified from the session. It just does not seem to end for some drivers in terms of the bad luck. I want to see where Scary Pumpkin qualified. I'm interested. Where did Scary Pumpkin qualify? Let me go ahead and take some screenshots here of the grid order.
So the stream didn't catch most of the laps because I am a bit stupid. I am stupid. And I didn't switch the scenes. But Go ahead.
You must forgive our amateurishness. We are just two blokes sitting at home trying to do this. We are not Sky Sports. So I'll just give you a little rundown of the grid order. Ninja Zero got us pole position, obviously, as he is the pace setter here in Brazil. And we'll give you a better rundown of the grid order a little later because my screen has just gone black because it's loading into the session.
Also,
So we'll give you.
someone in the chat is saying I predict Faizan and Crisby are going to crash again. Let's hope that doesn't happen this time.
Faizan and Chris Bai are, I won't say they're rash drivers, but they are the notorious drivers.
Well,
They do get involved unnecessarily in a lot of incidents.
well, at
So,
least at China at the last round.
yes, if we're going to base it off China, then they were involved in a lot of incidents. So hopefully they can keep it a little clean. They were doing fairly well this time around, not getting involved in too much, staying clean, staying clear of all the destruction. But obviously, we'll
I think
see.
everyone was. Everyone
Yeah, I
was
think
doing a
everyone
pretty
was
good
pretty
job.
clean.
But
Everyone
it's
was doing a
gonna.
pretty good job.
Yeah, obviously
Yep.
now the frustration is gonna be a lot higher as the race had to be restarted and stuff like that.
We will have another. We will have another formation lap here. Is this a formation lap or is this race start?
It's a formation lap, I think. Yeah, the track is green, so it should be formation lap. People
Weird
are
because
also
I'm
not.
seeing interval times as well.
Yeah, there are
Oh,
interval
all the
times.
times
But...
going flat out. This is.
No,
Hopefully, this isn't.
No, people are warming
This
up
isn't
tires.
rest. Oh yeah, okay. I'm just wondering. I can see the two flashing lights on the screen on each of their steering wheels. So that
Yeah,
must
and
be this is
there's also people stuck at the start, so.
true. So this is a formation lap and allows us to go through the grid order, very similar to last time, except that some of the faster drivers obviously didn't get a good qualifying session in the first race, the devoid race, I should say, or the voided race. So now we have Maranello Baby who qualified in sixth, a much better qualifying performance from him. Vortex find himself in ninth position, very far down in the qualifying order. Obviously, probably had some issues during qualifying, maybe got some snap oversteer. He's been suffering from a lot of snap oversteer going into sector two. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the race. Maybe he can claw back some positions at the start. Scary Pumpkin, not a great qualifying, but if there's anything I want, it's that for him to have a poor qualifying and then have a really good race, because he usually has a great qualifying and then ends up doing poorly in the race. So I want him to do a lot better in the race this time around. Streeter and Scary Pumpkin, obviously very close to each other. Yeah, Walter?
It also looks like we have some changes between the teams, as False RU is now in Toro Rosso, and Melting Ace is in a McLaren.
I don't know how that's happened, but obviously we don't really consider the teams that they're currently driving for. If there is some sort of confusion like this, we do consider the team that they're driving for in the championship. So Falsarius points will go to Williams and Melting Ace's points will go to Toro. So 5 red lights. And we are away for the second race. Hopefully a race where we won't have any issues. At this time, it's a lot more close between the real SD and Ninja Zero going into turn one. There's a yellow flag as there's a hat that has spun around. It's Cooldock again, going into issues going into turn one. The two, a lot of defending drivers behind the front runners in the midfield. A lot of position changes. Let me go ahead and bring up our position changes here as there's a yellow flag in sector 2. There's a Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel has spun it. No, it's not Sebastian Vettel. It's Electric. And Chris Bai has retired from the race. Chris Bai has retired from the race, and there will be a safety car. Oh Lord, this will not be a good sign if we're going off what we saw in the previous race. But Chris Bai is out of the race. Cooldock picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think, no, he picked up a time penalty for corner cutting. Electric now in last place.
Oh, and a racing point is off Scary Pumpkin. He almost crashed into Maranello Baby and Streeter, his teammate.
Very, very unfortunate there for Scary Pumpkin. Always seems to find himself in an unlucky position as The Williams of Dylan goes very wide coming out of the last corner. Very, very wide, unnecessarily going onto the grass there. But, you know, our boy Dylan doesn't race with the racing line. He's a very conservative driver sometimes. Sometimes he's a little reckless, but it's all right. That's what makes him a great driver. That's what makes him a fun driver on the grid. Ninja Zero, Scary Pumpkin into the pits here. New front wing for him. Also onto the medium tires. Ninja Zero still an all-dominating driver in the lead, as my telemetry data has gone a bit iffy. It shows Anirudh is 1 minute 12 seconds behind IRC. That's wrong, I know for a fact. He seems to be within a couple of tenths of IRC here. IRC, the real SDS, is the yellow flag in Sector 2, and there's another Haas that's come off. It's another Haas, I think it's Bulldog. Bulldog getting involved in more incidents, and I think the Ferrari of Electric again got caught up with Bulldog. Both those drivers really tussling it out there.
What's very important to note is that there are two people who qualified on the mediums, and these guys are Melting Ace and Maranello Baby. I'm not sure how the strategy is gonna play out for him, as Ocean Chief gets spun off by Prophet. Prophet just closing the door, touching Ocean Chief, and he got spun around.
Carnage going into that turn there, as the car is literally spun around in the middle of the track. A lot of drivers having to take evasive action as Prophet drops to 16th place in that spin, combined with the fact that he lit up his rear tires trying to rejoin the track.
We almost got a real life Ferrari at Brazil, with Electric going down the inside of Sebastian Vettel.
This racing is absolutely wheel to wheel, and absolutely loving this between, I should say, the Ferrari and the Ferrari sister team, because it is Sauber or Alfa Romeo. All three drivers keeping it, trying to keep it as clean as possible. But at the end of the day, adrenaline will get the best of them under certain scenarios. But Sebastian Vettel now driving behind the Alfa Romeo of SLR Ocean Chief and the Ferrari of his teammate Electric going into the final sector. And we're on lap 4, so they will have DRS. Let's see. Oh, and he goes very, very deep. And he spins out. Sebastian Vettel with a spinola in this race as well. Prophet pulls away. Prophet overtakes Sebastian Vettel, who rejoins the track now. Scary Pumpkin going very, very slow in Sector 2 here, heading into Sector 3 now.
Well, Eitel, I know what Sebastian Vettel is saying at the moment right now. Mein Gott, muss das sein?
Very, very true there, as Sebastian Vettel drops to the back of the grid. I guess he is not back of the grid, but he is considerably far back. Scary Pumpkin has left the session. I don't know if he just decided that his AI will do a better job than him this race, but I believe he's having network issues of some sort. His Wi-Fi has been glitching about, so hopefully we see him back in the race later on. Bulldog currently sitting in last position, but if there's anything we see from this race, it's very, very unpredictable. So we could yet have more incidents, as there's a Red Bull. There's a Red Bull off, no one. IRC General Pepe spins off. I believe maybe might have been contact with Anirudh or maybe even Ninja Zero, but I felt like he was too far away from Ninja Zero to have any kind of contact. I believe he's just had it a little too hot into that last section and just completely spins off, and now he's in 10th place. Big moment there for IRC General Pepe, as Melting Ace makes it back into the points. Obviously his points will go to Toro Rosso. Do not pay any attention to the fact that he's in McLaren. Maybe we can do a Lando Norris moment and color over his McLaren here with some blue color paint, and then it becomes a Toro Rosso, obviously. Faizan and Vortex doing very well to keep it nice and clean into the points, both of them. But they are considerably off the pace from Streeter and the other front runners. As there's a battle here between Streeter, G Chroma, and Maranello Baby. This is where the stream should be looking right now. 3 drivers heading into the last sector. All 3 will have DRS. Or Maranello Baby may have DRS here. Does he have DRS? He doesn't have DRS. The other 2 drivers will be on max attack here. G Chroma goes very defensive, literally hugging the pit entry line as he's going into sector 1 here. None of the drivers can really mount an overtake. They were all considerably far away from each other. But if Streeter can get a good exit from turn 1 here, which he does, he may be right on G Chroma's diffuser here going into sector 2. Can he get close? Yes, he can. Oh, almost nearly tried a dive bomb there. Very tempted to do so, but chose against it. Very interesting battle there between Maranello Baby. That'll give Maranello Baby something to think about going into the latter part of this race, because right now he's also not only trying to attack Anirudh, who's currently losing some time here behind the back marker Cooldock, but Maranello Baby is also under attack from the two drivers who are on much faster tires and seem to be right on the pace, and they seem to be determined to ensure that Maranello Baby does not get another victory in RRL, and that they will do everything within their power. But if there's anything we know, Maranello is a very skilled driver, and he'll try to keep them at bay as best as possible. But Maranello now looking to make time on the Toro Rosso. Anirudh ahead of him, but the IRC Real SD is not that far ahead of Anirudh either. But Ninja Zero here effectively pulling away. He's 4 seconds clear of the Real SD, and I think he's well out of slipstream range. So he, I think, has got a good position now, as long as he doesn't get disqualified due to any sudden safety car incidents that we may have. Obviously, it's very unpredictable at this point, but it's just something to keep an eye on going into the latter half of this race. Any more safety car incident predictions from you, Walter?
I don't think so. I think it will be pretty straightforward, and just as I say it,
Cooldock retires from the race, having an absolutely torrid race so far. He now, I believe he crashes somewhere, retires from the session. Will that draw out the safety car? He's parked right in the middle of the circuit. I'm going to ride on board Prophet here as he goes past Cooldock, Cooldock's car. No, there will not be a safety car. His car just goes out, and he is out of the race, which means, in interesting developments, that neither Haas driver will get points and will finish this race. Both Prix and Cooldock, both Haas drivers, have retired from this race. It's Australia 2018 all over again, ladies and gentlemen.
And Streeter going for a nice move on G Chroma. Now, the battling between them has made it so that they lost the DRS to Maranello Baby.
Maranello Baby is attacking Anirudh here. Can he get it done around the outside on the medium tires? Anirudh putting up a good battle. Very clean racing between the two of them, but Anirudh will have a lot better pace coming out of turn 4 and turn 5.
Big squeeze from Anirudh.
Wheel to wheel. Anirudh still has considerable pace on those soft tires, but he is now out of the podium positions. He will look to immediately recoup some time on Maranello Baby using that DRS down the back straight probably, as Maranello Baby, very good elbows out from both of them, but Maranello comes out ahead on the medium tires, I should point out. So he's got easily another 10 to 15 laps, maybe 10 to 15 laps to be extreme. He's got another 10 laps definitely on the medium tires before he has to come in. But Anirudh will have DRS here. His ERS is into turn 5 as Maranello dives into the pits. Maranello dives into the pits, choosing now to go onto the soft tires. He will probably come out just behind Faizan, maybe just behind Ocean Chief, as the Renault comes into the pits. Is it a fast pit stop? Yes, it is. Very fast pit stop there from the Renault team. Where does Maranello rejoin? He'll probably rejoin behind SLR Ocean Chief. Indeed, he has rejoined behind SLR Ocean Chief in 10th place. If he can keep up the pace, which I think he can, he's much faster on those tires than the other drivers. He can definitely be in with a chance of a podium, if not a race win. But right now, his teammate Ninja Zero pulling away from the rest of the pack. Any predictions going into the latter half of this race? We are 50% in, so any big predictions from your side?
Well, it's all gonna depend on how well Maranello Baby can navigate this traffic. It's gonna be very important, as he's on much fresher tires than the other guys, but he still has to be able to pass them, which is sometimes not as easy as it sounds on this track. You can get held up very hard in Sector 2. Now overtaking in Sector 3 and Sector 1 is definitely possible. So, oh, and it seems like Faizan also spun.
Faizan also spun. Will he get overtaken by G Chroma here? Very close between them. Faizan going on the defensive against G Chroma. There's another driver off. I just saw another driver on the grass there somewhere. I believe it's Ocean Chief got onto the grass there, and he's right on the attack here from Maranello Baby. Could Maranello Baby now make it up into P6? Yes, he can. Easy peasy lemon squeezy up the inside of SLR Ocean Chief. Maranello Baby slips into 6th place, but immediately on the attack on Melting Ace, he could pick up 5th place here from the Toro Rosso driver, who's currently in the McLaren, we should point out. The papaya orange of McLaren racing the yellow of Renault from Enstone. Maranello Baby doing Cyril Abitable proud here. Going into sector 2, big dive up the inside, makes contact with Melting Ace, wheel-to-wheel contact there, but nothing more. Both drivers keeping it fairly clean there. Heading into sector 3, obviously, the Renault will get DRS on Melting Ace. Will he look to complete the move here? Should it be done and dusted? I think it should be. Let's ride on board here with Maranello Baby. Let's see if he can do it. He's catching that McLaren very, very quickly. The McLaren
Melting
is
Ace
to
going
into
into
the pits. Melting Ace has been denied from going into the pits by Maranello Baby, who makes a very, very audacious move there. Melting Ace has to reset to the track, and now he's back up to speed, but he drops to 9th position. That'll definitely be something for the stewards to look at, as Melting Ace does a Kimi Räikkönen here. Struggles to get back onto the track. Very, very erratic movement there, as Anirudh inherits the lead of the race, but Maranello Baby is only 16 seconds behind Anirudh with 7 laps remaining. Assuming Anirudh pits, which I think he will have to, because he's still on a set of soft tires, so he will pit. That will put him within 12 seconds. So ideally, Anirudh will be 2 to 3 seconds ahead of Maranello Baby coming out of the pit stop. But Maranello, as Anirudh dives into the pits here, this will be a tense pit stop for Anirudh, as he will be on the medium tires, the slower tires, as Maranello comes around the last turn here, heading onto the back straight. It'll be very, very tense for Anirudh. I think Maranello will overtake Anirudh though. Anirudh going onto the medium tires as Maranello comes onto the pit straight now. This will be interesting to see. This will be interesting to see, ladies and gentlemen. Maranello does overtake Anirudh. Oh, very unfortunate there for Anirudh. He was ahead, but Maranello has got the undercut done and dusted, slipping into
even
third
Ocean
place.
Chief passing both. Ocean Chief is still on the older tires, never mind. But Streeter overtook Anirudh as well.
So Anirudh having even more to think about going into the last 6 laps, the last 33% of this 25% race. That's a lot of math. I can't do the math, so I'm just going to say it's the last 6 laps. Anirudh in 6th position. Definitely a driver to keep an eye out for. He will have a lot more pace than Streeter. Not because Streeter is a slow driver, but just because Anirudh is a much faster driver. He will look to get the overtake done as soon as possible. Both of them have to get past Ocean Chief, who's on much, much slower tires, worn, soft, nearly 12 laps old. Not much tires left, not much life left in those tires, I should say, at this point. As Anirudh should get DRS going onto the back straight here. He's gotten a scruffy exit, but he should have DRS here on Streeter, but I think he's too far back to get anything done. Could he get it done into turn 1? No, he's too far back, but he does make the position on Ocean Chief, who dives into the pits. But I do think Ocean Chief will have to give up the position to Vortex, who comes through to take 6th place. Good move there. Not necessarily a move per se, but Vortex up into P6. No one also up into P7. Ocean Chief having to spend more time in the pits because he has to change his front wing. Out of the pits now comes Ocean Chief as Dylan comes into the pits. Dylan in 9th place. Very, very good performance here from Dylan, but I do think he's too late in the pit window to make any kind of impact late in the race. Of course, we will still keep an eye on Dylan here. He's the only one picking up. Oh, well, no, actually, false. He was also in 10th place. So he will try to pick up points for the Williams, as SLR Ocean Chief tussling here with Faizan for 8th place. Less than 3/10 separate both the drivers here. Going into sector 2, very difficult to overtake here, but it'll be a challenge for Faizan to keep right behind Ocean Chief. Obviously, he's well within the slipstream, but he will lose DRS. The dirty air coming off the back of the Alfa Romeo will keep the Mercedes at a distance. Faizan struggling to keep the racing line through the second sector, but he will look to stay close enough to Ocean Chief enough so that he can overtake him on the back straight. This will be a major finish for Faizan if he can pick up points here, as both Mercedes now find themselves in the points, but I think Faizan is too far back behind Ocean Chief to maybe get the overtake done here. Of course, I would write him up completely, but I do think he is too far back there. He is 1.3 seconds behind. He was only a couple of tenths behind, but he dropped to 1.3 seconds behind.
Anirudh getting a
picks up a
penalty.
3-second time penalty. Very, very unlucky there. It could be even worse for Anirudh, but I think Streeter has also picked up a couple of penalties over the course of this race. I'm not entirely sure. We will check in the final classifications. But Anirudh just taking turn one, not turn one actually, taking the last sector a little too quick. And fault. Oh, wait, no, that's Toro Rosso, I should say. Where is Anirudh right now? Let's have an on board Anirudh. He's right behind Streeter now, for P4, and I think he could get it done here. He's gotten a much better exit than Streeter, closing in on the Force India, or I should say Racing Point rather. But I do think he's still too far back to get the move done. Could Anirudh try and dash his dive bomb? Going to get to turn one. Yes, he will. He'll go for the dive bomb, but it doesn't work out for him. He has to pull out at the last second. No one gets a 3-second time penalty. No one currently in 7th place. That'll be good news for SLR Ocean Chief. No, I do believe SLR Ocean Chief is way far behind. He's nearly 15 seconds behind Vortex. Vortex picks up a 5-second time penalty for exceeding track limits, as Anirudh has to deal with Streeter here. Streeter having some traffic ahead of him, the traffic of his box teammate, Scary Pumpkin, as a yellow flag in Sector 2, who seems to have made contact with what? It's Faizan! No, it's not Faizan. It's Vortex. He's out of the race again. Vortex out of the second race as well. Oh, wow. That will bring out a safety car, I think. That should bring out a safety car.
I think they turned off the safety cars for this 25% race.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. After the absolute carnage of the last race, absolute shambles the last race, they have turned off safety car, in which case Vortex will just phase out. And oh, big slap of oversteer from no one. No one. Oh, he's into the wall. He is into the wall. He resets to the track, but that will mean that Ocean Chief will get a little time back on no one. I think he should get to maybe 7 or 8 seconds here off no one. And if there's penalties with no one or IRC General Pepe, then Ocean Chief could actually finish ahead of the Red Bull. But I'm most interested to see what Anirudh can do. He's still behind Streeter with only 2 laps remaining, surely.
And Streeter is off.
Streeter spins out. Oh, we've gone on board with Anirudh at the optimal time. And the Toro Rosso zooms past Streeter, who just absolutely loses it coming out of turn 4. Spins out, massive slap of oversteer. I think that's the exact same thing that happened to Vortex, but he doesn't retire, luckily. But I think he'll just choose to race the rest of the race with a damaged front wing if he is having damage. But Anirudh now within 7 seconds of Maranello Baby. Maranello Baby could actually get a move done here on IRC, the Real SD. Both the IRC drivers going at it here. We could be in for a massive overtake here from Maranello Baby to take a 1-2 for Renault. Very defensive there from Real SD. Maranello has to go on the outside, but that is the move done and dusted. Very good move there from Maranello. Gets it done, and that is a Renault 1-2. Oh, Cyril Abitable must be jumping up and down. Renault finally getting a 1-2 after so many years.
Oh,
Real SD trying to come back, runs wide though, and he is behind Maranello Baby. He should maybe about 6 to 7 tenths behind Maranello Baby here. Could this mean good news for Anirudh that both of these drivers are tussling out? Maybe if they get into contact, one of the drivers spins out, that Anirudh could be in the chance with a surprise podium here. But if there's anything that we know from these 2 IRC drivers, it's that they are very, very clean drivers, very, very good racing etiquette, and they can put on a good show without getting on each other's toes. So I think that should be conclusive there for Anirudh. I think he is going to finish outside the podium position, the first time ever in RRL that he has finished outside the podium, as Real SD gets DRS, but he's too far behind Maranello Baby. Maranello Baby on much newer, much faster soft tires, but I don't think there's enough in him to go at Ninja Zero. Ninja Zero is just way too large a lead. Has been very, very consistent, not making any mistakes, choosing the right strategy, getting his, oh wow, he's got 100% ERS. 100% ERS available at his deployment if Maranello Baby does catch him up, but I don't think so. 8 seconds separating the 2 Renault drivers, but it should be a Renault 1-2 here at Interlagos. It should be a spot on the podium for the Real SD after A fairly unlucky race for him. He qualified in second, obviously, but Maranello Baby showing incredible pace in the latter halves of the race.
Positions
To,
might still change, because Maranello Baby has a penalty. Just so you know.
Yeah, that is true. An important thing to keep in mind, as Walter brought up, that penalties do play a massive role here in the final classification. As Ninja Zero completes a dominant performance to come across the line here. Brilliant performance there from Ninja Zero. Round of applause for him. As Falstar Hugh retires on the last lap. Oh, dearie, dearie me.
And it looks like Ninja Zero and Ninja Zero takes the win. Maranello Baby stays in second, and the real SD is third.
G Chroma picks up another 3-second penalty on the last lap here, fighting with Faizan going into the last corner. If he has DRS, this could be a very close finish for both of these drivers. Keep a close eye on G Chroma coming into the last corner. Faizan, desperate defense. This must be, it must. Carnage on the last lap. Brilliant overtake there from G Chroma, but due to penalties, he stays behind Faizan. Streeter has to serve a 5-second unserved penalty here. What a close finish there from Faizan, and that is the end of the race here, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, some after race contact there between the Force India and the Mercedes by the AI, just randomly ramming into each other. As we have Ayrton Senna on the top step of the podium in the Renault, very, very funky there. But that is Ninja Zero claiming victory for the Renault team. An amazing 1-2 finish from them. Surely Renault are the favourites to win the Constructors' Championship, because they are all dominating at this point. 3 out of the 4 races so far in RRL has been won by Renault driver. I think not all of them. 3 out of 4 races has been won by Renault drivers.
The first one was by...
Apparently, I got EXP for spectating. Thanks a lot, game. Man,
what a final battle between G Chroma and Faizan. I almost had flashbacks to the Maranello Baby Melting Ace incident earlier in the race, where Melting Ace wanted to go into the pits. But I think... It
almost reminded me... Yep.
I think Ninja Zero finally showed his true pace in this race. Definitely flexing with the amount of pace he had, building out a big gap between him and Maranello Baby.
Definitely
deserved win.
Showing that both these drivers have incredible pace, and both these drivers have the pace to keep up with each other, obviously, and they do push each other to just become better drivers as a whole, and that'll be helpful in the long run for Renault, because that means that their drivers are well and truly better than the rest of the grid, and that'll be good news for Cyril Abitable. He can go to sleep a happy man today, as Renault picks up a 1-2. Of course, before the beginning of the next race, we will update you with the updated standings. Obviously, that does depend on penalties. That does depend on the stewards' decisions regarding certain incidents. Also, officially, the incident report window has been opened, so we should see incident reports from the drivers flooding in immediately. So,
good luck.
A lot of complaints going on right now on the F1 Discord, but that is obviously it from the both of us. Walter, any final thoughts on this race? It was definitely a different kind of race with that safety car incident, obviously, in the first race that we did, which is not going to be counted, obviously, towards the standings in the championship. But the second race definitely was an interesting one. Let's have some final thoughts from you.
Yeah, definitely interesting race. I love to see this one. A lot cleaner compared to the last one we had in China. I like to see this more from people. I feel like everyone is settling in their position, learning a lot every single race, and I think we might see another few beautiful races, definitely in this season.
A lot of close wheel-to-wheel action there between our front runners, definitely putting on a show for all our spectators here watching the stream today. I believe that it could have been a little bit more unpredictable. Could have been a couple more incidents if we had continued the first race, obviously, as it should have been. If we had continued the first race, we still had another 18 laps. There could have been more strategy issues, more contact between the front runners, a couple more damaged wings, maybe a couple more DNFs. We already had 3 or 4 before the whole safety car, fallacy that happened. But obviously, very, very interesting race, very weird race, but definitely an interesting one. And yes, you are right regarding the cleanliness of all the drivers. They are very, very clean this time around. No dirty dive bombs, no cutting off other drivers, leaving each other lots of space. Very respectable, clean driving there. But we will see you guys next weekend at the festival, not Festival of Speed, I should probably say the Coliseum of Speed, which is Monza. We will see you guys there, and hopefully our drivers can put on a better, well, not a better show, but hopefully Codemasters can put on a better show, and we do have a full race next time around. We have a lot more carnage and a lot more fun. So until then, thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you on free practice hopefully next Saturday. And from 8 Cylinders of Fury, this is goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone.